I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch. For this night, and all the nights to come.
Vala Morghulis, everybody. Hypeswatch is back again for another A Song of Ice and Fire reread. You know how we do month, etc., etc. And of course, with me as always, I have the crew. We got James, Michelle, Sir L.T. Giles, and Jerry the Targaryen Steamboat. Yeah. And hopefully everyone in the chat can hear me. Unfortunately, my regular computer went down. So I'm going on the backup right now, and hopefully this damn thing does not crash, because that would totally suck. Alright. Okay, cool. I think they can hear me. I think they can hear me in the chat. If you can hear me in the chat, please press 1. Couple of seconds for it to catch up. Meanwhile, how you guys doing tonight? You guys okay?
Ooh, fun.
You know what? Screw you, Joe.
At least I don't have grayscale.
True indeed. True indeed. Unlike the gentleman that we are talking about tonight, we are doing the chapter called The Lost Lord. That is from A Dance with Dragons, and this one is the Jon Connington chapter. Jon Connington, to me, is a character who kind of gets overlooked a lot, man, with the importance. I mean, we get a lot of info dump in this particular chapter, as far as the perception of what's going on in, as far as what Daenerys is doing, you know, and how he plans on trying to get Aegon to the throne. So before we begin, did you guys have any particular thoughts on this chapter?
I got a few questions for you guys. You know, the first thing that's talked about in this chapter is Tyrion and how he escaped, and it was one of the things is that, but my question is, and I guess it's fuzzy, but why do they want Tyrion dead? I thought Tyrion was sent by Illyrio, as a friend to them. Like, maybe you guys could refresh my memory. And
They didn't want him dead.
Like, huh?
They didn't want him dead. They just had him as a kind of an ally-like thing, and then they figured he escaped.
Yes, they thought he escaped. They didn't want him dead.
Okay. Well, they're sounding to me like they're saying he was a traitor, or made it sound like he was a traitor. Like,
that's what they think, because they think that he just ran off.
Right. They have no idea. Yeah, they have no idea he's been captured by Jorah Mormont. And
yeah, they actually fucked up too. Sorry.
Also, that's actually one of my favorite aspects of this chapter is when Jon Connington is thinking about, oh man, I shouldn't have trusted. He said even though Tyrion got in the way of the Stone Man and Phaegon, that that Tyrion is such a swindler, even though we know from our perspective that that's not really the case.
Right.
Yeah, the lady, the innkeep, told them that he was taken, but they don't want to believe him. It's really messed up.
Yeah, they think he planned it all together.
And that's what happens.
It just goes to go with misunderstandings. You see it so much in the book.
And yeah, like, they make Tyrion he's looked to be like a little conniving monster, and it's messed up, man.
Well, maybe to them, but I mean, we as book readers know what happened. We saw in that chapter what happened. So we know the truth.
Indeed. All right, so, this starts off with apparently Harry Strickland. Why am I saying Harry Strickland? Ronald Duckfield. Ronald Duckfield has been sent off to go and get some horses because they have a meeting with the Golden Company. And, they're sitting at the harbor and they're thinking to themselves, well, not themselves, it's really right now just Connington and Septa Lemore kind of going back and forth as to, how do we introduce Aegon to Golden Company? Do we just introduce him as young Griff, or do we let the Golden Company know that he is actually Aegon? And there's a little bit of back and forth as to how they go about this introduction, because they want the men to ride for him, but there's a little bit of contention as to, like, these guys, yeah, they have the names of people from Westeros, but they're not actually from Westeros. A lot of these guys are just sellswords, and it's like, well, how in the world can we possibly trust them? And especially now, because this is the first time that they've ever broken a contract, but they broke the contract to help them. So I thought that was kind of you know I thought that was kind of an interesting dichotomy, or a little back and forth between Jon Connington and Septa Lamore. So any thoughts
So,
on this opening?
well, what do you think of John Conn's thoughts of like how he would have been he would be in Strickland's place if it was if he wasn't approached about what's going on with the Fagon stuff.
Um, I mean, I thought that was pretty interesting. Him thinking about that. But remember, he also said he didn't have any regrets. He would rather do this because to him, this is the much more nobler cause. Rather than just being the dude who got exiled for failing to kill Robert Baratheon. Now it's like, well, I get to finally kind of right the biggest wrong that is ever that I ever let happen.
Well, I mean that's true, but I'm just saying. Do you think that what do you think about like the Golden Company? That are they maybe worse off for like a guy? Because I mean, do you think John Conn would have made a good leader? Do you think Harry Strickland sounds kind of like, I don't know. I have a lot of questions about Harry Strickland and his leadership of the Golden Company, and he is definitely a paradigm shift from what the Golden Company was before. Which John Conn kind of hints that if it was still him, if it was him, he would have been the one in charge, and he would have like kept things the way they were.
I mean, well, remember at this point, he doesn't know much about what the Golden Company has been up to. Like, he's heard about the Golden Company, but he hasn't seen what the Golden Company has been up to on all this time. So, I think we'll discuss that when we get to that part of the chapter. But
I have a feeling that Jon Conn's leadership will be similar to Ned's leadership. I get some Ned with Jon Conn. A little Ned.
wow,
Yeah, John Conn is kind of an idiot like Ned.
He's a little Ned-like. He's very high on the honor.
I mean, okay, but is he high on the honor for the wrong reasons? Because I think there were times where Ned was high on the honor for the wrong reasons.
I'm not saying he's high on the honor for the wrong reason. I'm just saying that he seems to put honor on a pedestal, like Ned, like Barristan. He seems to be of that same ilk, which would be very similar with a lot of people with his background, like Ned, like Barristan. Similar backgrounds.
LT?
Could that honor go out the window if he finds out that Fagon is Fagon and that he's a Blackfyre? I mean,
I don't know what he
I
might
think
do.
so.
He might just kill himself at that point.
He kill himself or die a horrible, just be pissed.
I think. Oh man, I think if that happened, I think it'd be possible that he could kill Aegon, and that he might commit suicide after that.
Well, why did he kill Aegon? It's not Aegon's fault that he's been lied to his whole life
No, it's
by
not.
Ariel and Varys.
I mean, it's not Aegon's fault, but I mean, like, I've risked everything.
Aegon Fagon would be the enemy of the enemy of the Targaryen, the house that he is loyal to, the house where his crush was part of,
Right. It's
And
like,
you also know with John Conn's thoughts about Varys already that he would definitely be going after Varys too.
I
You
think.
know what? I wanted to bring that up. Like, the way he thinks about Varys is kind of similar to the way Ned thinks about Varys. Like, oh, this little worm. At least at first.
I mean, I think we might be getting a little off subject now. I mean, any thoughts about what Septa Lamore was saying about not introducing on as a because of the fact that these guys are sellsword.
I think that goes back to the point I was making about what are the Golden Company now? If they're just regular sellswords, Septa Lamore is absolutely 100% correct in her thing. If this is the Storm's Crow, the Second Sons, or the throw some other at me. Throw some other companies at me. The Brave Companions, any of them. This is going to be bad for them.
Things that. Oh, go ahead, JB.
I was I did like, despite the fact that Jon Conn obviously doesn't have the greatest opinion of Tyrion and believes he snaked his way out and is a betrayer, that he does see the wisdom of what Tyrion told Fagon in terms of not, trusting sellswords.
Sure, indeed. I mean, you know what, and we're gonna get to Tyrion's influence on Aegon later, because that, to me, I don't know if Jon Connington kind of knows about Aegon's shift in attitude, having to do with Tyrion's influence. But finally, after he does some reminiscing about his time with the Golden Company, they actually get to the camp, greeted by a couple of different people, and finally he gets to the big tent where he sees spear with all of the heads dipped in gold. And I found it kind of interesting, because some of the people he's able to recognize, because he since he was already part of the Golden Company, he had seen those skulls before. But then he sees Miles Toyne, and he remembers how Miles Toyne was not not a good looking man whatsoever, even though his one of his ancestors, who I think I'm trying to remember.
No, it was one of his ancestors that caused the. It was the death of Amon the Dragon Knight, because one of his ancestors was getting with Aegon the Unworthy's mistress, and they had him and the mistress killed, and the brothers wanted to take revenge on him, and they almost killed Aegon the Unworthy, but Amon the Dragon Knight stopped him with his own life. Those were the twins.
And I'm trying to think, was Miles Toyne part of the Kingswood Brotherhood?
I think that was Simon Toyne or something like that.
Yeah, it gets a little kind of crazy, that one. But the first person he comes upon, like the first actual person he speaks to, is Jaffer Flowers. And this is something I didn't pick up on until I reread it. Is like, oh, so apparently he's a Fossilway bastard. I'm guessing, I don't know. You think he's a red or a green apple Fossilway bastard?
Wait, first off, what name did you say?
I believe it's Jaffa Flowers.
No, it's Franklin Flowers.
Franklin Flowers. Where the hell am I getting Jaffa?
That's
from?
that's a different character altogether.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I don't know why I said Jaffa Flowers, but yeah, Franklin Flowers, who apparently is all scarred up on his face, and yeah, he's a Fossilway bastard. I'm wondering, red or green apple? What do you guys think?
Which is the side that stood with the Blackfyres? It was green, right?
Uh, hmm. That's
I believe the quote he said was that he was a
yeah,
rotten brown apple.
yeah. That's why I was wondering. I mean, I know he said brown apple because he's a bastard, and that's why I was kind of like, well, you know, him being with the Golden Company. I don't think.
Well, I will say he must be a green because I think I recall him saying that he was looking forward to killing some red apple fossilways.
Yeah, so yeah, was that him who said he wanted to kill some Fossilways?
I know he said
Yes.
that he wanted to kill some Fossilways. I didn't remember if he said if it was red apple Fossilway that he wanted.
Well, the wiki says red apple fossilways.
Okay,
So I don't know. I'd have to look. I don't remember maybe, but I have to look at the exact text.
He's probably a green bastard then.
I mean, but see, here's the thing though. He could be a red bastard because remember, he said his mom got raped, and then later on he wound up with the Golden Company because basically there was no place for him in Westeros. So
Raped by who though? What if you got raped by a red Fossilway?
that's what I'm saying. Like he just said that his mom got raped by a Fossilway, and that's why he's a brown apple Fossilway. Um,
I mean, yeah, the exact quote is just so long as I can kill some fossilways, I'm for it. So either the wiki got it wrong, or maybe there's something in the later. Because I don't remember. I mean, are we around these guys again? It's been so long since I read Dance of Dragons. I don't remember if these guys come back and they clarifies that it's a red fossilway.
you know what? I'll be honest with you. I not remember for that one.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
my assumption is maybe that in a later chapter it's specified that he wants to kill red fossilways.
Well, either way. All right. So Skull of Melee's the Monstrous. Now the thing I'm wondering about the Melee's the Monstrous skull, because it says it's got him and his little brother. So I'm wondering is like, were they? You think it was a conjoined thing? Because I know they were conjoined as far as the body, but the heads. Do you think the heads were conjoined as well?
Don't they have to be? Their bodies are controlled?
Not necessarily. I mean, he could have had because remember
Well,
they almost called him. It was almost
well,
like
well. They said the head was coming. The other brother's head was coming out of his neck.
right out of his neck, but not necessarily out of his face.
I mean, the neck and
definitely
the face
think
are pretty close to each other. So
Yeah, I
I
mean,
definitely think it's something like some weird conjoined thing. Remember there was that shitty horror movie called Basket Case.
oh my god.
Yeah, I think it's something like that where like he had like this malformed growth on his bottom part of his skull or something. But I definitely think there was some malformed, some disformity there.
I
Do we
never
know-
thought we'd be talking about basket case. I'll be bringing
Do
up
we know
basket case
who
on this.
Do we know who Melee's the Monster's parents were? Were they? Because I mean, we know that the Targaryens have practiced incest, so did it skip a generation for him? You think that's how he got his deformities, right?
yeah, but no, they. I don't think they ever said who his parents were. I mean, like, at least,
So I mean, sorry.
I mean, his dad would have obviously had to been a Blackfyre, but I don't like it skips a couple of generations because it talks about like I think like the last person to have
I
Blackfyre, and then
I think it's purposely hidden because all we know is that we know about the male line. They never say anything about the female line, so we don't really get to know if they're making out if they're hooking up with the female line because I think they purposely left that information out because I think that's where Aegon comes from, the female line.
Yeah.
Could be. I mean, I don't know. That's one of those things where we definitely will not find out before. And damn you, Jerry. Damn you. I know you like.
We're getting it this time next year.
I mean, it is what it is. All right. All right. Hold on one second. Going back to the damn it, to the wiki. Oh, and shout out to Westeros.org. If you're looking for what the synopsis for the chapter is, that's where we got the synopsis for the chapter. Because my memory is absolutely shot. But all right, so Griff comes in. He meets with Harry Strickland and some of the other people from the crew, as far as the upper management, the officers, as it were. And he talks about how there were a bunch of people with Westerosi names, but most of them probably aren't even actually true Westerosi. So there's a couple of Coles in there. I believe there are a couple of Strongs.
I think LT likes the Coles. It comes from Tristan Cole.
Let's see here. We got a Peak in
I
there.
hate Kristen Cole.
We got a Peak in there, and then let's see here. Who else? We got Mark Mandrake. There's a Tristan Rivers. Yeah, and it's like, yeah. Go ahead, James.
They don't forget Lysano Mar, the spy master.
I mean, but he's not. I don't think he's. Is he supposed to be a Westeros?
Oh no, I didn't know you were specifically talking about the Westerosi.
Yeah,
I
I was trying to get through the Westerosi names, but yeah, like Son Omar. It's funny because for some reason that name just reminds me of Bruno Mars. So I doubt Son Omar is going to do kind of singing. All right, so yeah, he talks to them about how he wants to get back to Westeros, and he's wondering whether or not they know that young Griff is Aegon, and I'm trying to remember what exactly it is that tips him off that they already knew that he's Aegon.
Well, he makes an announcement and no one's shocked. They're like, yeah.
Well, no, the reason why they know is because Strickland told them beforehand, because he mentioned how they were all getting restless and wondering why he was like not taking these big jobs that were coming their way.
Yeah, but how did Strickland know?
I think Lario told him, or Varys told someone told him.
It was what's his name? Jon Conn's the one guy, Miles Toyne.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Because yes, he does say that Miles Toyne was the one who made the deal, because Miles Toyne is one of the few people that actually knew that that Jon Connington didn't steal from the treasury and that he wasn't dead.
Right.
So yeah, he knew about the plan for all that time, and I guess he told it to Harry Strickland right before he died.
Here's a question though I have for you. Why did they need to come up with that story about him stealing from the treasury?
So apparently the logic behind that is supposed to be, if you just said that he died and he's somebody who's supposed to be heroic, there might be people out there who won't actually believe it, might go searching for it. But if you say that he disgraced himself by betraying his people and then wound up, drinking himself to death, their whole logic was it would just make it more believable.
Well, I mean, but who's gonna? If you just say he drank himself to death, who's gonna go looking for him? No one.
That was the point. They didn't want
I know, but why was the added part he stole from the treasury? Like, I don't get why they needed that part. Like, I think that just drinking himself to death is
Well,
plenty enough to tell.
Well, I think that was added on just to make it so it was like, all right, well, here he is in the Golden Company. He's doing a pretty good job. Why would he just all of a sudden decide to drink himself to death? Like if he's risen to be second command in the Golden Company, and the Golden Company is kind of a prestigious faction, you don't just decide to go and drink yourself to death. But if people think that you have stolen from the Golden Company and that you were kicked out, then you might have a reason to go in.
I'm about to find the exact quote here. Where's that? Go ahead and talk for a second. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's weird. I mean, you could have easily come up with something like, yeah, he took a wound and his wound was so bad he went and drank himself to death. He just died that way. Like it seems kind of weird that they would sabotage his name like that.
The exact quote is, "We want no songs about the gallant exile," the eunuch had tittered, in the mincing of his voice. The mincing voice of his. "Those who die heroic deaths are long remembered. Thieves and drunks and cravens soon forgotten." So I guess he wanted it.
Well, there you go.
He was saying all three are forgotten.
That makes perfect sense there, then.
Yeah, and that was also part of the reason why he was kind of pissed off with Varys, because it was like, now for the past, 14, 15 years, people have been thinking that he's a thief, a craven.
Wait, how long was he took the Golden Cup? I thought it was only recently, like maybe a few years ago he left. Because, I mean, it's been 16 years since he got defeated and exiled.
Yeah, but remember, he's been raising Aegon since he was a kid.
I believe that Jon was 16 years in exile. I believe that he was an active member of the Golden Company for 5 years, and then that happened, and then he went to Aegon for the last 11.
Yeah, because I knew it was a pretty long time that he was Aegon. Listen, man, I can't keep saying Aegon. I know he might be Aegon, but I just can't keep saying that, man.
I can, because that dude is fake.
Yep. Now, let's bring this up. So Strickland and all them, they all know that he's not young Griff. They all know that. What? How much do you think they actually do know? Because we all know the Golden Company, they're no Targaryen supporters. At least they traditionally weren't. At least in we all know that they were, the Blackfyres. Do they know that Aegon is a Blackfyre, and that just like how we saw here, no one, everyone seemed to know except for Jon Con that everyone knew that he was Aegon.
I think.
Does everyone know that he's a Blackfyre?
That's what you're.
Like, don't tell Jon Con.
I think that's pretty risky. I mean, these dudes are hard drinking sellswords. If one of them could easily slip to Jon Con and fuck it all up. I think that they would. Know?
Do you think like Strickland knows that he's a Blackfyre?
Maybe Strickland would know, but I don't think the majority of them would know. Because a lot of them don't give a shit, really. Like, I don't think a lot of them would really give a shit. I mean, I'm sure they care, but like, they're not. I would say that like most of them aren't probably embroiled in the whole Blackfyre thing.
Yeah, at this point you gotta remember, it's been like 150 years, roundabout, since the Blackfyre Rebellion.
Oh no, there was the last one was with Meleys that Sir Barristan won.
Right.
Remember?
Okay, but
that would have been about 50 years ago.
Okay, but I'm saying is, the more generations you get removed from the original Blackfyre Rebellion, the more people who are gonna come up in it and just be like, look, I'm just looking for some place to get paid. So for for some of these guys, it might be like, yeah, my great great grandfather got exiled, but for a lot of them now, it's going to be, look, okay, yeah, my great great grandfather got exiled, but hey, if you're telling me I got a chance to go and settle down and be a lord somewhere, then I'm in. I don't really care what the politics behind it are. And I think that's the thing about it is, I think a lot of these guys don't care about the politics. They're just like, look, I'm going to get the chance to go and be a lord, which means I don't have to go out and constantly look up contracts and practically, like fight someone else's war or be, like armed security for somebody. I get to do all the damn commanding from a castle if this all works out for me.
I would agree with that. I think it's too risky to like have this web, this truth out there with Jon Con being the one that's out of the web, because then it just gets messy. I do think a lot of them just care about being on the winning team and going back to Westeros.
Yeah. All right. So look, after Aegon actually comes in and introduces himself to the rest of them, because yeah, they know who he is, but they haven't actually met him. Now he introduces himself, and they're like, "Oh, this is kind of crazy."
Should we get LT's thoughts about that? I do have one thing I wanted to say more about that.
All right.
Was that, yeah, okay, maybe most of them aren't, but don't you think there should be like a few that still are like, the fuck, we're Blackfyre supporters. What's this fucking Targaryen shit?
I'm in complete opposite of you guys. I think they're 100% Blackfyre. I think you got to smell a rat. Look, okay, they should, the moment they find out that's Aegon of his name 6, they should kill him. That logically, that's what they should do. But they're not doing it. They're not doing it. They're gonna support him. You know why?
I think that's what I'm saying. LT is like one of them. At least one of them would be like, what the
no,
fuck?
a majority of them, and I'll tell you right now, Varys and Illyrio are behind all of it.
If they're 100% Blackfyre and Aegon, as we believe, is a Blackfyre, then they should be 100% for him, and then they wouldn't kill him if they found out that he was really a Blackfyre and not a Targaryen.
No, but this is what I'm saying. If they didn't know he was a Blackfyre and they think he's Aegon Targaryen, they should kill him. That's what I'm saying. But they're not, because Illyrio and Varys are behind everything, and they know he's a Blackfyre. The only one who doesn't know is Jon Connington.
I mean, but I think James's point still stands. I think James's point still stands because you got to look at what happens if one day they are getting drunk and someone lets that slip. I mean, like, okay, yeah, pretty much, the guys who were in the big tent are the inner circle, right? They're the guys who, again, they already knew that the kid was Aegon and he's not just Jon Connington Squire. And it's like, okay, well, how come they didn't tell the other men? The other men don't need to know. Like, the other guys who were just the soldiers had absolutely no reason to know about it at all. So it's not even something that they're gonna even talk about. But
I think what me and LT are saying is that it's weird that there's zero dissent for a Targaryen in here. Like, there's no one who objects.
There should be, but like I said, there's not, because fucking, I'm telling you, Illyrio and Varys, they planned all this.
I mean,
a long time.
Both sides really have flaws in it. I think. Like, I think y'all make a great point. Like, you can't hold a conspiracy, or else it'll fuck it up. But at the same time, it's just numbers wise, it's likely someone's going to have a problem.
Here's a logical thought. The one guy that could be the one guy in this situation who would be the Varys and Illyrio stooge is Strickland, because he's the one that's so apprehensive of going on with the plan without Daenerys.
Yeah, I think Strickland for sure knows.
So he would be the one that'd be the stooge. I think the rest of them, they're so gung-ho of going over there that they're not.
They don't even care about if it's Targaryen or not. Like they're like, yeah, fuck that. The Targaryen hate died with the Mad King's death.
I mean, not even just died with the Mad King's death. It probably. I mean, again, you got to think about how many generations are they removed from the first Blackfyre Rebellion, or forget about even the first Blackfyre Rebellion. How many generations are they removed from Aegor Rivers? Because Aegor Rivers really was the dude who was holding down the banner, and then the other Blackfyres that came after that were pretty much just like, okay, well, cool, this is the quest that started it, and hey, if you follow me and we win, I get to be king, and I'm gonna make all of you lords. So at this point, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, all right, well, that's cool and all. You know, if you're gonna make me a lord, and I don't care who you are, I get to be a lord in the castle and have, my own knights and servants and all that. Yeah, who cares about who's a Blackfyre and who's not, and all that other stuff? It's like, why would it matter at that point? I think the more important thing for them is I get a come up. If I win this war, it's an instant come up for me. That's what I'm saying, man. I think they're so far removed from the original cause that it's not going to matter to them whether or not it's a red or a black dragon. Because even look, Illyria already said, red or black, a dragon is a dragon, and I think that's what they're thinking. It's like, it's a dragon. They're gonna make me a lord. I get to sit in the castle, have land, titles, incomes, servants, all that good stuff. Okay, cool. I don't care who I'm fighting for. Give me the title. Give me the money.
No, you make complete sense, and regardless, I think Jerry's prediction of eventually Aegon sitting the throne for a short time is probably going to happen, and if whatever happens after that, I believe they'll follow whoever. If it's Daenerys or Jon, they'll probably follow either one, so they will get their come up regardless.
Yeah, that's what I think it's all about for them. It's all about the come up. Oh, the one thing that I did want to touch on though before we moved on is the thing I forgot is when they actually arrived at camp, because Jerry, you talked about this earlier. It's the fact that you know the fact that the camp is very orderly. As much as oh man, as much as Jon Connington might not like Harry Strickland, the thing that he did notice is that everything is orderly, and he said even Gerald Hightower would like the way that the camp is set up. So, Harry Strickland might be a coward, but he apparently he still has things under control in terms of running things, at least from the outside, looking in, it looks to be in a very orderly manner.
It's because he's a bureaucrat.
He is. Jerry, you had any more thoughts about that?
No, that's pretty much, I think, all my thoughts on that. What about you, LT? What do you think?
We didn't lose LT, did we?
No, I was trying to unmute myself and it wasn't working. No, that's pretty cool that they're pretty well organized. But like I said, I'm telling you guys, they're more than just a Golden Company. I'm telling you, man. These guys, we know the three people who are pulling the strings in this story is Littlefinger, Varys, and Illyrio. Come on, are you guys surprised? You shouldn't be surprised. This is probably more than the Golden Company. This is the biggest conspiracy of Dance of Dragons, man. We all know
No, I
this
mean,
is
I
the
think,
biggest.
yeah, I mean, I don't think that it's. I think we all know that Varys and Illyrio is the driving force behind the Golden Company. I never said that. I never said that wasn't the case.
Right.
They're not just these drunken fools. These are disciplined soldiers that they're badasses, man. These are badasses that their word is as good as. What's the word? Our
You're saying
word is
it's an elite private army.
yeah. Our word is as good as gold. We're gonna need these guys to fight the fucking others, man. We're gonna need these guys.
Oh, come on, man. Stop.
We need them all.
No, I'm not fucking around here.
You know, LT might be right. I don't know.
Or these guys might be getting toasted by some dragons.
That too. You know what? It might be both. It might be both.
Well, you know what? Speaking of which, all right. So, you know, they kind of get into a back and forth. You know, once Aegon introduces himself, and you know, they're like, okay, well, cool. Now that Aegon is here, let's put plans in motion. We've already broken the contract. We're ready to go to Westeros, but Daenerys is still in Slaver's Bay. What the hell is she doing in Slaver's Bay? And are we gonna go get her? So they have this big kind of I'm not gonna say it was an argument, but it was definitely a debate about, you know, do we go to Daenerys and how do we get there? And at this point, it's kind of a back and forth in terms of, are we still going with Varys and Illyrio's plan? Because everything that Varys and Illyrio have told us so far has kind of not worked out. Here we are, you know, not necessarily disgraced, but people are looking at us funny because we broke a contract and we're not known for doing that. And also, we have this thing where,
well, one thing, I actually don't think they broke a contract. They didn't take a contract.
No, they broke one, and
they broke one.
They broke one, and they didn't take one. Both of them, they did both.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. It was because even earlier in the book, the whole thing was in Westeros. It was like, well, the Golden Company broke a contract. Why would they do that? You know, so you know they're sitting here like, all right, well, we need Daenerys. Oh no, we don't need Daenerys. She's got dragons. Well, the dragons don't really mean anything. She's ruling in Marine. Yeah, but she's burning down Slaver's Bay. And, you know, here we kind of have the game of telephone because, you know, I'm pretty sure that Daenerys' dragons by this point are way bigger than hatchlings. But as far as they know, or the last that they've heard, Daenerys is just running around with 3 small dragons. But apparently, those dragons have enough firepower for her to have burned down, you know, everything en route to Slaver's Bay. So are they you know being short sighted with their analysis of how much they might need Daenerys?
Well, this is the wrench in Illyrio's and Varys' plan is that when you have an empowered teenager that isn't part of the script, well, they'll go off script and people will have to listen to them, i.e., Ned getting executed by Joffrey. Yeah. So this is, you know, when you're in this situation, well, this is this kind of stuff that might happen when you empower a young man who has the whim of everybody, you know, that can control everybody essentially. So, yeah, maybe their info is a little off, definitely. But like I said, this was the craw in Varys and Illyrio's plan.
And we all know what Dany's been doing everything that they tell her not to. Well,
yeah, but
the teenager.
I personally think that it's been since like the first book since Dany's seen Illyrio, and Illyrio took her and Viserys in. I actually think if she had some kind of communication with Illyrio, she was listening to him, but she hasn't had no communication with him since the first book.
I'm not talking about Dany. I'm talking about Aegon. Aegon not being. Yeah, he's the one that's going off script. So
yeah, we're gonna get to him in a minute. But the thing I'm wondering is, because remember before Aegon kind of jumped in, it was really the Golden Company officers who were back and forth with, okay, well, we don't have enough ships to try to sail. I mean, it was really Harry Strickland. Harry Strickland was the one like, look, we need to get word to Daenerys to try to get this thing back on track. These guys were kind of like, well, look, Daenerys is far as hell away. We want to get to her. How do we get to her? And to a certain extent, it almost seems like Harry Strickland was like, yo, fuck it, I'm willing to give up all of this shit right now.
Well, this is my thought. Like, I think Harry Strickland is in on it with Varys and Illyrio. That's the reason why he's pushing for them to not go in that direction and wanting to go with the plan. And listening about some of that information that, well, I was thinking, I guess that wouldn't make sense that he would be providing them with false information, because I was thinking of Lysano Mar. I was thinking he is from Lys. Varys is from Lys. He's the spy master of the Golden Company. He's got to have he's got to be in contact with Varys, you would think. So
yeah,
I would think he would want them to stay as well. But I if he's giving them false information about the dragons, because you would think that he would, if he wanted them to go to Dany, he'd be feeding them information about how majestic and big the dragons are and they need them. So I don't know, but
well, they did say that they did need the dragons,
right? But then they started getting to the point of, well, Robert Baratheon won the throne without dragons. Dragons have been extinct for a couple 100 years now, and that's the thing that they're kind of going back and forth on. It's like, well, we need Daenerys and the dragons, but the dragons are too small to really be a factor. What about the Unsullied? The Unsullied is like, all right, yeah, cool, but how long is it going to take for us to get to Daenerys? And by the time we get to her, is it even gonna matter? Because they said if we don't,
is she even gonna want to leave? Yeah,
because they were like, look, they could lose half of their people marching there just from being deserters. I mean, like, what, fuck this, I'm done. And then, they could probably, like, they could lose up to 3/4 of their people. Like, half would probably quit, and then the other half that were left, half of those would probably die on the march. Because they said they don't have enough ships to actually sail there. Because Volantis isn't, they're not going to have enough ships from Volantis. They don't think the Volunteers are going to give them any ships to actually go there. It's a treacherous route because of the way that they have to sail, because they basically have to go through the narrow sea in order to get around to Slaver's Bay. They're gonna have to deal with pirates and whatever else might be out there. Who knows whether or not, I don't think they mentioned anything about the Ironborn yet, but I'm probably sure that they must have heard something about what Euron is doing in the narrow sea right now.
And we know that's to be feared.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, well, okay, that's not an option. Marching to Daenerys is not an option, because even if we do go to Daenerys, A, we don't know if she's gonna leave, and B, if she does decide, okay, we're gonna leave, they don't have any ships to get back to Westeros. So they're kind of in a lose-lose situation to a certain extent.
You know what I would advise?
What's that?
Go to the Manderleys, who's been building a secret ship and make an alliance with the North, with the Manderleys. Help the Manderleys in the Northern cause, and then eventually you're going to have that fleet because they've been building a fleet for secretly since the first book. So that's what I would advise them to do.
Yeah, but they would have no
Yeah.
clue about that.
Yeah, they have no idea that that's happening.
Yeah, that's LT trolling again.
No, I'm not trolling. I'm like being serious. See, I have inside information. They have no idea. I'm a reader, so if I could just jump inside the story, I could tell them that.
You can also tell them the size of the dragons. You can tell them about what Daenerys' boobs look like. You could tell them everything.
Or break into and get all the hostages and get Jason Mallister and retake his fleet.
Yeah, what I would tell them is that their ass, if they oppose Dany, their ass is going to get burnt up. So, Aegon bent the knee. That's what I tell them.
I would tell them if they want to live, they need to befriend Dan and Dave.
There's a lot of people that theorize, like with Jerry's theory about Aegon taking the throne, right? But a lot of people think that it's possible that Dany and Aegon could like meet in the books and get together, but then somehow Aegon gets the dragon, and then we second dance of the dragons. There's a lot of people who predict that.
I think that's very likely.
I actually think that Aegon is going to get with Arianne, and that's going to be the demise Dorne and Aegon. And that's going to be, they're all going to get burnt up. That's what I think.
And I think that's also how Dornish inheritance is going to pass through, and that's how Sansa's going to be able to take over Winterfell and a lot of stuff.
Well, okay, and that
we're getting off topic there.
That brings me to where I wanted to go next, which was Aegon, or is Aegon. So, look, Aegon, after hearing all the back and forth with these guys, and like, oh, you know, we can't really put our faith in Dany. He's like, fine, and don't put your faith in Daenerys. Put your faith in me, you know. And like, look, you got me. I'm willing to go to Westeros. Forget about what Daenerys is doing right now. We'll go take Westeros, and then we'll have her come to us. And so this was interesting because, you know, this was John, you know, seeing it from Jon Connington's perspective. He's like, oh man, this kid actually is bold. He's willing to take charge and this, that, and the third. And he has absolutely no idea that this is all because he played a game of Syvass with Tyrion, and Tyrion basically got him hyped up and like, hey man, you don't want your aunt to upstage you, do you? Oh. Got a better claim than she does.
He just wants to make Westeros great again.
Yeah, you know, technically you're supposed to be king. You know, are you really gonna go to her with your hat in your hand and like, hey auntie, see you got the dragons and all that. Did you mind? You know, we get married and.
Yeah, we all know how she treats guys who come off a little bit weak, even if it is the right choice.
Yeah, so so Jon Connington kind of got screwed over in this situation a little bit by Tyrion without even realizing it, because now you know, Jerry, as you talked about, Aegon is going off script.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was James who said that.
Oh, James? Oh, my bad.
But I agreed with him. So
yeah, so Aegon is going off script, and
he's kind of like Jean-Claude Van Damme in Street Fighter. Who wants to go home? Who wants to go with me?
Yeah, man. And the Griffin has absolutely no idea that the dragon has been goaded by the lion. Mm-hmm. Now, should Jon Connington have been concerned when Aegon decided that he, you know, gonna be gung ho and decide, nope, you know what, forget about Daenerys, you know, I'll lead you guys to the march in Westeros.
What was the question?
I think it was a good move, but I think it was, like, I agree with Aegon's points. Why to do it?
Yeah, I agree with him. And Jon Con was, you know, he was for it too. He was saying that they needed action.
Mm-hmm. That's what Quentin lacked.
Quentin
And
lacked
like-
a lot of things, and unfortunately,
Well, you know what? Yes, but action was the main thing he lacked.
I mean, well, look, he tried to get some action going, and he
Well,
made,
no. He asked, "Can I have some action, pretty please?" He didn't make the action happen.
I mean, well, I'm talking about with the dragon. He tried to. Steal
Oh
the dragon.
yeah. He finally tried, and
You guys talk about dumb decisions Ned made. We should do a video about Daenerys because that was a dumb decision turning down Quentin, in my opinion.
it was a dumb decision. We do need to make a video about that.
We still got to get back to Ned. We got to do Ned talks. We got to do Daenerys talks. Jon talks. I mean, we got to talk about a lot of the dumb decisions that many of the characters in the story have made.
Robert Baratheon talks.
Oh my god!
Barristan
She's only got
talks.
yeah. We can do them all.
Oh, if we do Robert Baratheon talks, we got to get Tank
Lami
on for a rant.
Greenhand talks.
Who?
I said Lami Greenhand talks.
Oh my god!
That's gonna be that'll be a 5-minute video of just saying he was useless.
Oh my god!
The end.
JB, I think Stannis is pretty safe here. He didn't make too many stupid decisions.
I mean,
All right. So here's my question to you. So Aegon basically is like, hey, you know what? When we get to Westeros, we're automatically gonna have the Dornish. Ilya Martell was my mom. Dornish are gonna want to fight for us. Do you? I mean, well, we kind of saw what happened with where Ilaria. No, it's not Ilaria. Arianne is now on her way to go meet Aegon. Do we think it is a foregone conclusion that the Dornish are going to wind up going to Aegon's side?
Fire and blood. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty good chance that that's gonna happen.
I mean, especially
That's
if you look ahead to the Arianne chapters in the Winds of Winter sample chapters, I think it's pretty clear.
I mean, it's pretty clear that she it's clear that she believes in him, and he's making a good case. I mean, he's about to capture Storm's End, right? I don't think he already has, but I think he's about to capture Storm's End, and she'll be there to see it. So I mean, that would make a pretty good case for why the Dornish should back him, because no one has ever taken Storm's End before. The question is how good is the Dornish army actually going to be when they do show up, if they decide to back him?
yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know if who's all been reading Fire and Blood, but man, the Dornish they kind of remind me of like Dune, the Fremen, whereas they're badasses on their turf. They'll like, you try and come on their turf, they'll sneak around and they'll fuck you up good. Almost like, and even kind of like, like maybe not like bad. I wouldn't call them badasses, but I mean they were like in holes and causing a lot of mayhem like that in the Vietnam War. So they're kind of like that. But I don't know how
I'm broken.
I don't know how good they are on foreign soil. Is what I'm saying. Is what I'm getting to. Like they're awesome on their turf. They're kind of like the New Orleans Saints this year. They're awesome at home, but not so good on the road.
I mean, hey, it is. All right. All right. So after this, they've decided they're gonna jump in on the plan. Like, all right, cool. We're gonna ride with Aegon. Whatever he says goes. But when he gets introduced to the people in the camp, those who are not part of the upper echelon, as it were, he is still being introduced as young Griff, the Griffin Squire. He's still running around with the blue hair and all that. But it's kind of cool how he showed up in all Targaryen regalia, and it was supposed to be a thing where like nobody really noticed that he had on all the Targaryen stuff.
It said he had red and black do you think that Illyrio and Varys might have accidentally given a little invert and hoping Jon Con wouldn't have noticed or thought of anything of it?
I mean,
You
well,
know,
think about it
you
like
invert the
this.
colors, you get the Blackfyre.
I mean, but think about it like this though. Remember, Rhaegar had black armor, with a big red dragon on it. So, you know, I think again at this point because everyone has already
That's the Targaryen colors. The Blackfyre colors is red armor with the black dragon on it.
right. I mean, but what I'm saying is I don't think that anybody would really I don't think anybody would really notice that because they're just going like, oh, red and black are Targaryen colors, black and red and black. They're not really looking at what's going to be the more dominant color. They're just looking at, oh, that's the color scheme.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying. I'm wondering if Illyrio and Varys knew that and they decided to sneak in some.
I mean, I
Make it
wouldn't
look
doubt it.
black. Yeah.
I mean, it makes all the sense in the world. Why not? I mean, think about it. This is essentially the secret Blackfyre Rebellion. This is, because think about it, right? It's
Yeah,
Aegon
you're
the
right.
Sixth.
He's already invaded too.
Right. So think about it. It's Aegon the Sixth, and it's also the Sixth Blackfyre Rebellion. Except this is, shout out to Stan Lee. This is Secret Wars right here. All right. So we come to the last part of the book where finally, Jon Connington is feeling real good about himself. Like, look, I'm finally gonna get to go home. Everybody's on board with the plan for Aegon, and we're gonna take the Iron Throne. I'm finally gonna get to see Griffin's Roost again, and even if I die, before all of this happens, I'll finally get laid to rest next to my father. And the whole thing is I wanna do this for Rhaegar. Doing this for Rhaegar. It's not really for Aegon. It's more for the memory of the guy he was in love with, who he didn't even realize apparently didn't like him all that. And he takes off his glove, and he's got 2 fingers. No, it's more than 2 fingers. Yeah, no, it's 2 fingers, and it's starting to creep all the way up to uh up to his wrist, grayscale. And when he stabbed the fingers, he felt nothing. But he's thinking, you know what? People can still live for years before the grayscale fully affects them and wind up going insane and die. So my question here is, should he just cut off the damn hand? Should he just cut off the damn hand and hope the infection doesn't spread?
I think it's too late for that.
Because Samuel Tarly's gonna find the cure for Grayskull in the Citadel, and he's gonna cure him.
That would
Is
be.
Is he gonna keep touching things, LT, in the meantime, though? Like Jorah?
Well, he could go ahead and touch Aegon all he wants because the dragon doesn't get affected by Grayskull.
I mean, has that been proven though?
No.
I mean, Dany didn't get it, and she got touched by Jorah a lot. So.
Yeah.
And Tyrion's must be immune, right?
I mean, well, that's the thing. I mean, look, as far as grayscale, for one, they don't 100% know what the cause is. They know that it's a thing. They know it's a disease. They know how you can contract it to a certain extent. They know that it can be cured, but no one
It
really.
could be stone whites. We got fire whites. We got ice whites. You could be stone whites.
Could be, but I mean, like no one really knows the full extent of how, like, they know that there is a cure. They don't fully know what the cure is, and I don't. I mean, I think that, listen, we're not gonna bring up the show Samwell Tarly thing. We don't know what of that is real and what's not. Um, I'm just like, you know what? Should he just cut off the damn hand? Seriously.
I think he's had it for too long at this point. Maybe he should have cut it off as soon as he started, as soon as he saved Tyrion. Maybe.
I mean, well, do you think there's a possibility of him infecting? In do you think there's a possibility of him infecting the rest of the Golden Company? Basically?
Yeah. Yeah. Possible.
So what are we
But
giving?
I don't think he's gonna be like Jorah in the show and touching things. He covers it with the glove and he keeps his hands to himself. Yeah, I think he'll be okay.
I mean, what do you think is the over under on that one?
I think he dies before the grayscale gets him.
Jerry? I mean, not Jerry. LT?
Maybe when Danny comes to meet Aegon, and they could just have Drogon burn it off with fire, and maybe Dragonfire could cure the grayscale.
Yeah, but then it burn his face off.
No, not if Drogon does it softly, barely.
I don't know if Drogon knows how to do it soft, nor do I know if there's any Valerian words that say burn softly.
All you gotta do is tell him, "Look, boy, he's hurt," and then Drogon will go, "Oh," and then she does.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think it's most likely he's gonna spread it, and that's sad, but I think he will.
All right, so do any of these guys actually wind up getting their lordship then?
For a time, some of them might.
Will homeless Harry Strickland stay homeless?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, when Aegon takes the throne, he'll promise him some keep or castle, and then he'll lose it right away when Daenerys comes.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that is absolutely gonna suck. I know, James, you got any thoughts on any of this?
No, not really. I mean, obviously, we don't know the full extent of how virulent grayscale is, so as long as he keeps that thing gloved. But yeah, he probably should have cut his hand off. But then also at the same time,
should have.
If you cut your hand off, it's gonna raise suspicion. Like, why the fuck did you cut your hand off, bro? Oh, I got grayscale. Well, you're done. Peace.
That's true.
Well, then what he does is wander off outside where they're at, and then bring somebody who he trusts, and then say that 3 bandits attacked him and one of them cut off his arm, and then hey, we killed them, and then they can say that's how he got his arm cut off.
Yeah, but what happens when they don't see any blood because it's where he cut off the damn grayscale?
Hey, she'll be like, don't pay attention to this.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. Any final thoughts on the chapter before we get out of here? Because I know that James has to go.
I mean, for me,
Yeah,
I mean, for me, I think it's a good chapter. I think we get some good hints of things to come, some things of the past, some character, fleshing out of some characters that we don't really hear about a lot. So I think it was a pretty solid chapter overall.
LT?
Sorry, that stupid mute button. Yeah, solid chapter. I these are treasure chapters because like I haven't read it in a while, and to go back and hear about the Golden Company, and I've been listening to Fire and Blood on the Audible, and it's cool to I just it's I'm like confused about Aegon as a character because like yeah, part of me wants to say he's a Blackfyre pretender, and I think that's the logical thing. But when you listen to Varys talk about, and I say this every time we talk about Aegon, when you listen to Varys talk about him in the epilogue, it makes him sound like a hero, like somebody you want to succeed and back. And I'm just interested to see what does happen with him as a character.
It's what's fucked up about this book. He is going to be a better leader than any of Jon or Danny or he does have probably the chops to be, but he's going to get fucked. He's going to get burned. So
that is
it's going to happen. And
I do think he's going to get burned.
Yeah, and then look, Doran Martell, the only one who gave a shit about his people and like when this whole War of the Five Kings or wars are going on, he's the only one who's like, my citizens' lives are more important than my vengeance. Like Rob's like, oh fuck everyone's life. It's all about my pain. But he's gonna get fucked. He's gonna get fucked. All these people that are good leaders are gonna just get fucked.
Ultimately, I think it doesn't really matter if he's a real Targaryen or not.
Yeah.
It's the actions it's the way that he was raised and the actions you take is what matters. I think that's like what some of the things that to make the realm a better place is because like the thought of rule going by heritage or just like by your by heritage, exactly. It's stupid because you're not electing the best leaders.
Ned Stark gets placed his hand.
Yeah. So ultimately,
or Joffrey, even worse. Like guys like Joffrey or get placed in the role of king.
There is some people that think that maybe that like how Jerry says Aegon takes the throne, and maybe him and Dany get along for a while. Say she comes there and they get along, but with Jon resurrecting and find out his parentage, that somehow he comes to Westeros and then they clash. That Jon and Aegon clash, and Jon is the one to expose him.
Well, the thing is that remember
dying.
Remember the visions that Dany got when the things that like she was going to be opposed. She got the visions of, and one of them was the cloth, the poles with the cloth of a dragon on the cloth.
Oh yeah, and the Griffin.
Yeah, so I think I think she's opposing. I don't think they're going to be together. They're going to be opposing forces, and his ass is going to get burnt up by them dragons.
Damn shame. Now,
why can't Aegon have a dragon of his own so it could be a fair fight?
I mean, who knows? He might.
Because Euron's going to steal his dragon.
All right, so very, very last question, and we'll make this quick so we can wrap up so James can go and take care of his very important business. Will the Golden Company wind up giving Aegon Blackfyre? James?
I think Aegon already has Blackfyre.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'll pass on that question.
All right, Jerry.
I think they already have Blackfyre. I think it was in Illyrios, and I think if you look at the sample chapters of Dance of Dragons, that Tyrion saw a sword, and I think the sword he saw was Blackfyre in Illyrios. Keep.
Okay, LT.
100%. Yep.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, look, I think with as much talk as there has been of Blackfyre missing, I think you couldn't complete the story without Blackfyre coming.
I think it's kind of cool that they've both been missing forever, but not forever, but for a good while. But both Blackfyre and Dark Sister will probably be coming back soon at the same time.
We need to have another discussion on where Dark Sister is on another video. That would be great.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's with Bloodraven, but that's for another video.
Well, speaking of other videos, next month, will be number 36, 3 years that we have been doing these rereads. Can't believe it has been 3 years already. So quickly. And yeah, so we're gonna figure out what we're gonna try to do something special for year anniversary. And also Fire and Blood has come out recently. Um yeah, I actually got to go to the one event that George R. R. Martin did uh here in the New York area. Uh I thought it was gonna be a meet and greet, but nah, not at all. There were like a ton more people than I expected to actually be there. But I did get a signed copy, and he answered a couple of questions from that. And if you guys look on YouTube, you can see. I think it's from either Penguin or Random House. They actually have the full discussion that he did on there. Probably why they didn't taping that because they were going to put it up. But it was a pretty good experience, and Fire and Blood so far has been pretty good. And we are going
So
to
good.
we are going to do Fire and Blood chapters. We're going to be breaking it down chapter by chapter, and we're going to get out. So don't forget to follow the Hypes Watch on Twitter so you can keep up with us and see when we actually start doing those chapters. And you know what? Leave some suggestions of what we can do for our third anniversary reread. You know, as far as chapter and maybe a special guest. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Um. So yeah, guys. You got anything you want to say as far as signing off?
It's always
Go
a pleasure.
Cowboys. F the Saints.
Yeah, always a pleasure to do videos with you guys, and looking forward to the 3 anniversary. Hopefully, we could bring the missing Kraken home.
James? Oh, you gotta go.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, watching us talk about this chapter, and hopefully next month we can talk about Stannis or something. That'd be cool.
Stannis.
All right, cool. Jerry?
Maybe we can finally talk about Quentin next month. We can talk about he's the true hero of the story.
Oh, man. All right, listen, and
He's
I
still
will
alive, people. He's still alive.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna get back to the Ice and Fire opinion soon, very soon, as soon as I can get my regular computer back up. So pissed I paid all this damn money and it's broken over. Anyway, listen, you guys already know what the deal is. Rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends to come back for more. That has been our time here at the Hypes Watch, and we will see you later. So yeah, Bella Dohyrus, everyone. Catch you guys later.